I've been thinking about wanting to run only for quite a few years. I remember telling Patrick, um, you know, I think it was 3 years before the Rio Olympics, so like 2013, I think I first mentioned to Patrick, I said I would love to just see how fast I could run. And I don't know why, but it was always in my head that I wanted to do the marathon. And I think for me, I wanted to do it because I love running the most out of swim, bike, run. I think there's a misconception that I that I loved triathlon, and I did really enjoy triathlon, but triathlon picked me. USA Triathlon came to me and said, we think you should do this sport, and that's how I got started in it. And, I did grow to really like and love this sport, but for me, my heart right now is in running, and I've wanted to run. It brings me the most joy, and I also feel like I haven't reached my potential in running. For my run today, it was a long run, which is pretty typical for a Sunday. I met up with one of my Bowerman teammates, Shalane Flanagan, and we just ran on this loop that's pretty popular. A lot of cyclists and as well runners and walkers go up there and do this loop. It's about a 3.5-mile loop, and I ran with her. I did about 5 laps, I think. And it's a pretty good loop because it's a hard surface, which I don't want to be running on a hard surface every day, but as well I want my legs, the muscles, the bones, everything to kind of get used to that pounding for when I do have to do a race on pavement. So it also has some undulation. It beats up the legs a little bit, but at the same time we can go a little bit slower because it was just a easy run with no set times. In starting a new sport, I think there's a lot of exciting things. There's a lot of scary things as well. But for me, I'm most looking forward to challenging myself and having a new goal. In triathlon, I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, and that was a big reason why I decided against triathlon. I remember actually sitting down with Patrick and Jamie, Jamie via phone call because he was in Australia, but I remember talking to them and saying, I could stay in the sport of triathlon, but it would probably all be motivated by money. I can do it, but it wouldn't be to be a world champion or be Olympic champion because I had already accomplished that goal, and that was something for me that it just didn't excite me to go back and do the same thing. And so I felt like my motivation wouldn't have been right to stay in triathlon. And running, it brings a smile to my face when I think about what can I do. There are just so many possibilities. I have no idea. I've never pushed my limits in running, and I want to go out there. I know I have to take a lot of risks, which is kind of scary. I don't have a lot of time before the Olympics, and I don't know. I'm really excited to see what I can do in running. I'm excited to as well go to races. I ran the New York City Marathon, and the course was just lined with fans, and people were there. Everyone was excited. The whole town, like, they shut down New York City, and people were excited about that. And just having that many fans and being able to kind of connect with people through that is something that really excites me. This new thing with running, it's scary. I have to take a lot of risks, and I don't know if my body can handle it. I don't know, if I can stay injury-free, if I'm capable of achieving these things. But for me, I believe I can do it with the right team around me. And that's why I'm actually super excited to be on the Bowerman Track Club. I believe it's the best running coach, the best running group, and I really feel like you have to surround yourself with people who are better than you to be successful. And yeah, it's scary. I first came here and started running with them, and I was getting dropped all the time. And I still am getting dropped every once in a while, but going into those workouts, I remember one workout, they were doing 2-mile repeats, and I couldn't even stay with them for 800 meters. I would have, triple the amount of rest that they were getting because I was doing 800 meters while they finished their 2-mile rep, and I couldn't stay with them. And I was like, wow, it's eye-opening. It's scary. But at the same time, I then have to jog my memory and go back and say, you know what, in triathlon, when I joined the Wollongong Wizards, I was getting dropped every day. What if I don't make the Olympic trials? For me, that's something I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. For me, Patrick and I, we thought very hard and very long about this decision. It's not something that was, overnight. We decided this. We actually called running coaches in 2015 and discussed, what their thoughts were. Can we do this? What would we need to do? And some people basically said there's no way you'll be successful, and others said, you never know. And we took that you never know, and we said we're going all in. We're going to do everything we can to try to be successful in this and see how good I can be, because that's where my passion is and that's what I want to do. So we're going all in and taking risks, and just going to see where it takes us.
That's good. Question: Who did you feel the most scared to tell that you were leaving the sport, and not the fact that you were scared, but you just were like, they meant so much to you, and you just did not want to let them down, and what was their response?
I think, the hardest person to tell that I no longer wanted to do triathlon was definitely Jamie Turner. I remember telling Patrick, and Patrick wasn't super supportive at the start when I told him. He's like, Gwen, we make our living off of you doing triathlon. Are you sure you want to make this switch? Like, he was hesitant, as probably a lot of other people were as well. And, I had to tell all my sponsors as well, and I wasn't sure if they would be supportive, and they actually were super supportive, which is just amazing. It shows what great partners I have. But, having to call Jamie and say I was no longer going to work with him was difficult. I didn't know how he would handle it. I guess, I assumed he'd handle it great, because that's how he handles most things. He's just taught me so much, and I've learned a ton through triathlon and being coached by him that I can carry over not only into running, but also into life. And I feel very grateful for how he's been able to shape me and mold me into the person and athlete I am today. So, calling him was quite difficult. I didn't know how he would take it. He, agreed 100% with, what I was kind of thinking. He said, if your heart's not in the right spot, there's no point in doing it. If you're just doing it to chase money, then yeah, he's like, I get it. So still stay in touch with him. Pat actually calls him at least once a week. So I always hop in a few times and say hello and see what's going on. But yeah.
Train and have a normal life.
I think there's a big misconception out there that I'm choosing to do marathon and running because it's easier in some sense than triathlon. People have said, well, that makes sense that you're switching to marathon because you have a family now, and it'll just be, that will fit your lifestyle better. I don't agree with that at all. I think every sport is quite difficult, and I think, that's almost a little, it just kind of almost can put down other sports. It's like saying that triathlon is the hardest sport, and it's, the most difficult sport. And I think every sport has its challenges, and every sport is different. And to become the best, you have to really make a lot of investments, and it's not going to be easy no matter what you do. And for me, I think, switching sports, it's very risky. There's a lot of unknowns. There's going to be this huge learning curve. I could have gone back to triathlon where we know everything. We know how to get the results we want to get. We know the routine. We have, very good setup, and there wouldn't be a lot of new things. So switching to marathon has actually been difficult in a sense because I've had to learn so many new things, and I'm still learning, what's going to work, what doesn't. And in triathlon, you can go out for a 4-hour bike ride, and running maybe you can't, but running I will be doing 3-hour runs. And when you add in the prehab you need to do beforehand, or your little stretching routine before and after, the time can add up. So I really think every sport is different, and every sport has its different challenges, and I would never say that one sport is easier or harder than the other.